today it is Watch Club, still season 1, but we're in episode 3. We're going to be doing Empresses in the Palace, specifically episode 10 through 14. As always, you can catch these episodes archived on, sorry chat, it's not COVID, I promise. It's not COVID chat, it's not what you think. But as always, you can find these videos archived on YouTube at 9 Live Productions. They will be an episode once a week, every Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, like I said, back to episode 10. Now, first things first, chat. Like, we had just gotten favor with the Emperor, and already, like, someone's, like, taking an attempt on my life, and it's like, why are we acting so humble? Why are we acting like we don't know what it is? I previously stated that she's definitely gonna be, people are gonna be gunning for her head. She's gonna be public enemy number 1, definitely so. And this just goes to prove that, like, you cannot, like, even, I want to say you cannot, like, turn a blind eye to the smallest of things, but it's not even that in this particular case. It's like you cannot, like, breathe in this palace. Like, you breathe and pop, one person's gonna pop up and come and, like, tear out your lung, and you're no longer alive. That is the type of fucking, like, system, imperial harem that we are dealing with. It is a dog-eat-dog world, and quite literally, Attendant Juan is just like, or excuse me, Noble Lady Juan. She's not Attendant Juan anymore. Noble Lady Juan she's still trying to recover. She's still trying to, like, take care of herself and quote unquote take medicines to feel better, and that just makes her an easier target. I mean, she's not actually sick, but it just makes her easier target in the sense that people are able to get to her a little bit more. And I'm just like, I need her to catch up. I need her to feel a little bit better. And it just makes me nervous because, like, after a while there's only so much harm they can, like, physically do until she cracks, and I would rather her continue on into the season a little bit longer before she gets to that, like, arc where she's just like, that's it, I no longer care about being nice, I no longer care about being the pleasant person you want me to be. I am quite literally going to just burn it all to the ground, or not, if not burn it all to the ground, just completely seclude myself off and not care anymore, and I'll do what you want to do. But the rivalries in the harem are really getting to her at this moment, and I'm worried because, like we said, she's not really sick. She's just using it as a front to stay away from the Emperor, and that kind of, like, in itself reversed Uno card, and the Emperor still boomeranged around to favoring her a little bit more. But now it also leaves her susceptible to open attacks, and she's suspecting that it's her maid. Or not her, like, her literal maid, but, like, a maid that she has in her palace that is, poisoning her. And it's like, it's stuff like that you have to be aware of because you have favor, and that the Emperor's paying attention to you now, that people will try each and every little tactic, or each and every little like, opportunity specifically to get at you, and they're using the sickness, or they're using the promotion from the Emperor, and then therefore the maids, because you get more maids as you are promoted throughout the harem, and her sickness at the same time, to then use medicine to make her sick, or not use medicine, use poison in her medicine to make her sick, and they don't know how. They're not necessarily sure what happened, and I know there's going to be more attempts on her life, but I feel like they've already kind of introduced her as, like, this weak but somewhat capable character, but I just don't know how weak she's going to get, but hey, sometimes, at your lowest point, you're open to the greatest change, so maybe she's just, like, or excuse me, more precisely, maybe the writers are like, this is what we're going to do to drive her plot, to make her character a little bit more, like, hardened against these in the future. Who knows? Moving on. Next thing I, like, I really noticed was, like, we're gonna be calling her noble consorts. I realized I kept calling her consort, and I would think it's more aptly, and because I also read via like the lore and like online, she would be considered more aptly a noble consort. And I think I even stated that technically that's her duties, or I mean like her title is consort, but her duties is that of a noble consort. Like she has a little bit more power. So just so I want to differentiate her between like the regular consorts, I'm gonna start calling her noble consort Hua. And I'm so sorry for like the mix up and the constant back and forth with the names and titles, but it's gonna be a thing, and it will be a thing. So as long as we continue KNC dramas, so just fucking sit on down, plug ears, and pretend you didn't hear. Okay. But anyways, one thing that I noticed is that Noble Consort Hua / Flora has so many flunkies. Like Concubine Lee, or in the show, because the subtitles are different, Concubine Beauty is just like another flunky. She just does the bidding for Consort Floor / Ha, and it's like, can't you think for yourself? Can't you realize, like, yeah, I get it, you gotta survive, but like, I don't know, maybe dumb it down a little and pretend you're not as like capable of helping her as you would like to be, because you're only making yourself out to like to be a flunky of the bully, and I guess that's what she wants to be. I don't know, whatever. But she attacks like this. She does like a verbal attack against Noble Lady Shen. But shout out to Noble Lady Shen, because she already knew what it was up. She already knew what it was. Like, these fucking ladies are trying to drive like a wedge between Noble Lady Huan and Noble Lady Shen's friendship. And don't get me wrong, like, I feel like there might be a wedge between those two. I feel like because Noble Lady Huan, once she got the promotion and like she's serving Emperor, there might be a little bit of friction, but don't fucking like think for a second these hoes don't know, and they aren't gonna pounce on that. Like, they're not gonna like, they already know what it is. Like, they'll take any opportunity to advance themselves, or if in this case I would say to make others look less than. That way, in essence, making themselves look better and kind of getting like a one-up on them, making them feel like shit type thing. But yeah, like, it's just, she already knows like what it is, and she's not worried about it, you know? She kind of just subtly handles it, moves it along. But take note that there is somewhat a little bit of tension in there. But moving along. They talk a little bit more about the poison, and then boom, they find out that it's the maid from the department. She's using or if not the maid from the department, like, she's the one who's handling the pot, so more than likely she's the one who has the immediate like poison. They don't know who's giving her the poison though, but she's using like this teapot. When she brews her like drinkable medicine, her herbal medicine, she uses the teapot. So yeah, they talk about that again, and they kind of like come up with a plan to kind of like entrap her and like figure out like her plan itself as to how she's getting the pot, where it's going. But they're acting like nothing is happening. They're acting like everything's all good or whatever. And then once they actually like confirm it, they like immediately like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna pretend that everything's like this. We're gonna set her up like this. Noble Lady Huan's like, someone tells me you're competent. I wonder which concubine you used to work for, type thing. But then boom, they spring the trap. They're like, who did you work for? Why are you doing this? What is up with you? And she's like, I know you're brewing the pot, or I know you're using the brewing pot as a way to poison me. And immediately the maid bows out and is like, what do you mean I'm loyal to you? Please, I would never do this. And then Wanbi and Vermilion are immediately just like, okay, if you're so like loyal to us, tell us, who is the one that you're working for immediately? And she like blurts out, fucking Noble Lady, or not Noble Lady, Escort you, that fucking bitch. Now, obviously, Chosen Maid / Escort you, like, doesn't have the power and the influence to do this type of thing by herself. So immediately, like, Noble Lady Huan and the maids, her head maid, and then her dowry maids, Jaden, Wanbi and Vermilion, are like, she can't have done this by herself. Like, yeah, she would have reason to do so, but she can't have done this by herself. And they kind of coerce the maid. You see that they coerce the maid into like, if you really want to prove your loyalty, do this type of thing, which I don't know was right. Or if it was like the best way to prove their loyalty. I would assume like she didn't want to do it because she didn't want to like burn her hand, but I guess compared to death it wouldn't matter. But yeah, so moving on. So they figure out that it's escort you, whatever, to put poison. Who's putting poison in her tonics or her medicine in her food and stuff. But they come to the conclusion that it's not just her solely. Like, they have the plan. Like, they have someone who gives her the poison through the hole. Like, they figured that out. Okay, like, that's how she's getting into the palace. But, like, who's the one that inspired this shit idea in escort / chosen maid you? And that's when, obviously, like, we all know who it is. Dun dun dun, number Hua. She is, like, the mastermind behind pretty much every shitty deed. You know, except for a couple things, you know, there are a couple other people who are definitely responsible. But yeah, like, she definitely is, like, the obvious person. She's the obvious choice. And they kind of already, like, know, like, it's her, but, like, they don't have, like, solid evidence, and the words of one maid and, like, a pot isn't gonna be enough to condemn, Noble Consort Hua. So they're just kind of like, alright, we have to fucking scratch this. We gotta come up with some shit. Like, we gotta figure this out. Yeah. And so what they end up doing is that, because because the maid says that the guy has a scar on his hand, what they're gonna do is they're gonna have someone meet the guy who moves the brick, grab him. They're gonna have Shalzaija, which is her head eunuch, on the roof. They're gonna jump down, grab him, and then ask him where he's from, you know, and corroborate the stories between the person, or the guy with the scar on his hand, and then this maid. And once they do that, like, we obviously see that, okay, he's like, yes, it's escort eunuchs. They're the ones, or she's the one who's making us do it. They I can't remember what I said. Let me go back to my script. Sorry, chat. Let me go back. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so they're the ones that, like, admit it was escort you who did this, who convinced them to do this for them, because she didn't, like, appreciate the the new favor she was receiving from the emperor, and she was just like, this is bullshit type shit. And so, like I said, they devise a plan. They get those two. Sorry, chat. I'm so sorry. They have Xiao Yunzi grab the guy with the scar, take him out, and then they lock those two up. And what they do is they use this information against escort you. And what they do is they kind of lure her out into, oh, we got information on you. You know, we're gonna report you to the Empress and the Emperor, or whatever. 1 second, chat. I need a water break. Whew. That was just for you, chat. Mwah. You get that beautiful, beautiful first crisp pan burp right on here. Anyways, so it turns out, what you call it? Where was it? Yeah, it turns out, like, escort you is found out they're kind of like figuring out how do we, like, bring this before the Empress, or even the Emperor, but they don't know if they'll, like, take sides, because the Emperor will be in a bind, because obviously, like we said before, he uses Consort Hua's name and her family for things, so he won't really go against her, and so that kind of puts the Empress in a rock and a hard place, because she can't go against him. But you know, they kind of like, well, if we can't get, you know, Noble Consort Hua, at least let's get escort you. Like, and even Noble Lady Wan's, like, I've been extremely tolerant of her, like, and she's talking with Noble Lady Shen, and they're both like, you know, we never met harm to anyone. I don't understand what's going on. Like, why would they do this? So they're, like I said, they're both trying to present this, like, this information, but Noble Lady Shin is just like, I don't think this is gonna work. She might be excused from the debt, you know, he might have feelings for her, but this is where I like to point out my favorite thing about, like, the maids, the servants, and the eunuchs. Like, I've said this again, I'll probably say it time and time again. They really can make and break their charges, and the people they are taxed with serving. And we see here Jinshi is very, very smart. She knows that because the emperor has, like, you know, affections and feelings for her, he's not gonna kill her or whatever. He might, like, just, you know, demote her, or even just, like, confine her. But Jinshi says, yes, emotions aside, you know, deceiving an emperor is a capital crime and cannot be excused. And the ladies are just like, what do you mean, you know? And she's like, my lady, do you remember, she was saying, like, why am I acting like I can't even pull up my review? Chat, it's almost as if I try and say these things off the top of my head as if I don't have the resources at my fingertips. Why I do this, I don't know. Anyways, so yes, I'm saying here. So she asks my lady, do you remember on New Year's Eve the line of the poem that I read to you? And immediately she's like, oh shit, you're right. So this girl's been pretending? Okay, so it switches over to immediately to concubine Lian, like noble consort Hua, and like in her boudoir, and they're immediately like the eunuch comes in and he's like, oh no, they've been found out, escort you's been found out, and noble lady Sao and concubine Li are like, we'll be found out, like, what's going on? And then noble lady Sao's like, wait, no, it'll just be you. She just wanted to, you know, kill noble lady Huan as is. It'll be fine, you have nothing to do with it. And so she's trying to assure noble consort Hua that it has nothing to do with her. She'll be let off the hook, and, you know, the emperor won't, like, think twice. And we see that, in, like, my personal opinion, yes, nothing's gonna happen to her, but we're gonna see a series, and this is also a prediction, we're gonna see a series of events where things like this constantly question her character, and the emperor is gonna constantly battle between his need to use her and her family's name, and specifically her brother, in battle, with the way she lies, cheats, manipulates, and power mongers her way around. And so I think eventually we'll see that the emperor will no longer want to use her. You know, he'll be like, you know, I'm sick of this. I have so many other people I could use. You're quite literally, you know, not worth the hassle or trouble. But this is just a prediction, chat. I'm not sure if this is what it's going to be or if it'll turn out that way. You know, I quite honestly have seen so many C-dramas that I think that's what's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna get the evil bitch of the harem, and it's like, no, she lives on for like the next 14 episodes. She has a son and actually gets promoted type shit, and it's like the heroine is nowhere to be found. She's somewhere off in, like, locked up either in her palace, or she's off, like, saving a country or doing a war arc or something. It's so weird. But anyways, I digress. We see here that, yes, like I said, noble consort Hua is, like, assured by noble lady Sao that it'll be alright, like, this was all done by, chosen maid you won't have to, like, be, like, involved in this, the emperor will dust it off, and surely he does. Immediately, he sends, like, guards to, her palace, and she's like, how dare you, what are you doing? And the emperor's like, nope, you are going to the cold palace, which is essentially like purgatory for, like, concubines and consorts of the imperial harem and princesses, even princesses of the royal family. And immediately he has her thrown there, and he calls in noble lady Huan to immediately, like, apologize, to rectify, you know, this, like, mistake on her life type thing. And, like, personally, I think this is also into like calling into question like whether or not he truly cares for her. You know, I think it's interesting to see that even though she gets his grace and favor, and they do love each other from what it's being shown to us, she starts to even question his loyalty to her and his loyalty to their love. And I think this is also a very great example of that. That this girl that you happen to like, who actually wasn't even me, you know, who lied, tried to take my life. What are you gonna do? And he kind of like immediately was like, oh, she lied, this isn't her. Like, he immediately steps up to the plate. He immediately is just like, um she deceived me, I can't believe this shit. But it's not enough for her. It's not enough for her to be like, there you go, second break of the day. It's not enough for her, for him to just admit that, oh yeah, she deceived me, and had I known, I would have never, And she's like, and you can see it in her face, not necessarily what she's saying, because she knows she can't actually like speak these things aloud at the moment. But you can tell it's not enough for her that he did this. It was almost a slap in the face that he even assumed that anyone could just be her and like actually could actually just lost my train of thought there, sorry chat. But anyways, like, he could actually just assume anybody could like portray and like imitate her in a way. And I think it kind of like casts a doubt, or maybe a shadow of a doubt, on her heart towards the sincerity of his love and what having his love really means, But moving on. Once again, that was just another drop in the pond, because there's gonna be many attempts on her life. It's pretty much like drives the plot, and is also the drama in C-dramas, guys. So tune in. I wanted to actually point out, because I happened to see this. Sorry, chat. I happened to see this comment at the end of the episode when I was watching it, and it was by a user by the name of Pungy Fungi. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. And it was an observation about Companion On, and I won't say the observation just yet, but I'm pointing it out because it goes into the next scene. I really didn't understand at first what they meant by the comment, and it'll make sense once I say it. But I didn't understand at first what they meant by the comment, because I assumed that like they misread the situation or didn't necessarily understand the situation. But it basically is talking about like Companion On, and it's a unique observation. But before we get into that, there's a quick scene that we see Noble Lady Sao and Concubine Lee and Noble Consort Hua. I forget all their names when they're all like together. It's like too many names all at once, and they all run together in my head, and it's like eh. But yes, like I was saying, Noble Consort Hua and Concubine Lee are talking right now, and as you can see, in my personal opinion and observation, when Concubine Lee is talking to Noble Consort Hua, it's very hard for her to assuade her and like assure her of the fears because of Noble Lady Sao. And you can see she's even jealous of her because of her Noble Lady Sao's daughter, and uses that as a way to kind of not poke or prod, but like remind Noble Consort Hua, like, hey, you have this pawn that you needs to be used and controlled, because she'll try and use her daughter to throw her weight around. And I found that interesting, because even within the so-called like factions where they're like, I guess you would say friends, they're still very much rivals. There is, like I said, there's no moment for them to breathe. There's no time for them to sit there and play niceties. They all genuinely, in fact, dislike each other, even if they are like aware that like we're supposed to be on the same side essentially, and our target is this person. They will still quite literally attack each other if it means getting a leg up, even just for that second. And that's why I stated, like, these women have no time to breathe. These women have no time to, like, settle and, like, think. They have to quite literally be on reactionary time every single time something happens. They're on alert 24/7 out of the day. But anyways, going back to that Pungy Fungi comment, I found it. It took me some time, but I found it. And this person stated that Companion Zan's first step down the dark path started in this episode. She tasted what it was like to wield the power of life and death over someone. And I'm inclined to agree. And that's because we see that Noble Lady Huan, Companion An, and Noble Lady Shen are all talking, and they're talking about how His Majesty granted suicide to escort maid Yu. And escort Yu slash chosen maid Yu, escort maid Yu, whatever, same thing. And she's just like, I don't think that's enough. And she's kind of like going around slandering Yu and making a fit and like throwing pots and stuff. And like Companion's like, that's not enough. Like, this is crazy. This girl needs to be fucking dealt with, right? She doesn't say it out loud, by the way. I'm saying this, but what I'm saying is that you get this from her. You get this idea from her because she doesn't say it out loud. She immediately excuses herself, and her and her maid walk, and she's just like, you know what? This isn't gonna fucking fly. This is bullshit. And she asks her maid like, what is the Cold Palace, and two, where is the Cold Palace? And she's explaining to her it's like a place where like old concubines, like dishonored concubines, get thrown, and servants sometimes that go near the Cold Palace even hear like wailing and crying, ghosts and shit. So there's a whole bunch of like stories surrounding this place or whatever. But going back to Pungy's comment, the reason why I was inclined to agree is because, and to a certain point, is because Companion An, or at least I believe Companion An, wanted to be seen as useful or worthy in the eyes of her much more loved sisters by the Emperor. And I understand, I kind of sympathize with that. No one pays attention to her, and the people that do, you know, Noble Lady Shen, Noble Lady Huan, you know, they kind of shield her in a way. They treat her as like the younger sister that, you know, can't handle anything. She's very timid and sensitive, and I feel like this was her way of showing them like, look, I can be useful, I can help. She's like, look, I did the thing. And they're kind of like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, that's not the thing we wanted. Who are you? Like, they're immediately taken back, which honestly is you know, it's understandable. Like, she is very shy and timid from what it's seen, or excuse me, from what is shown. And you don't expect her to be the one to go talk the maids into killing you anyway. And everyone kind of like, everyone being Noble Lady Huan, Noble Lady Shen, kind of like takes a step back for a moment. And that immediate rejection of like who are you? Like, how could you do this? Kind of like sends her into like a dark headspace in a way. And that's why I agree this was the first steps down a dark path. But I wouldn't say like down the dark path in the sense like doing like straight up evil for the sake of being evil. Like down a dark path of like she's doing the wrong thing. She's just making the wrong decisions. And I would argue that's because she doesn't know how to handle like some of these like huge stressors. She doesn't have the preparation and the training that we saw Noble Lady Shen having when she first arrived. We can clear, and then with her father being a lower official, you know, it's already hard for her. She's very insecure because of her family's background, and it's already hard for her being picked on constantly by these other women because she's not necessarily favored like her friends are. But I also wanted to point out that Noble Lady Huan, in my particular opinion, started to walk down a dark road / like dark mindset. And I say that because this is going back to Escort Yu, and she was having the maid like hold burning hot charcoal to prove her loyalty. And I was like, I'm not sure how is that going to prove loyalty. You know, in my, like I said earlier, in my like in my head, or in like in my understanding, I would have just not chosen the charcoal so I don't have to die. Like, I mean, excuse me, I would have chosen the heart charcoal if it meant like death by flog. If it meant like not having to be dead or killed by flogging, like I would just hold it. It doesn't matter. And I don't know if that was an apt or proper way for her to like handle that. And I really sat there and, you know, notated a little bit because I have to write a script for this. But I really sat there and was kind of a little uncomfortable with how readily, like, granted this girl was trying to kill her, she was trying to poison her slowly, but I wasn't comfortable with how readily, like, easily and available, like, her malice and, like, how, like, ready she was to tap into the malice she was bringing into this. Like, she really wanted that girl to, like, hold this charcoal or die right in front of me right fucking now. And I was just like, whoa, where did this come from? I was like, okay, I see the switch up. I see where, you know, the dark side is coming from. And I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was interesting that we as in like the fans kind of focus on Companion An's shift, but not necessarily Noble Lady Wan's, in my opinion. But moving on. Now that we know, like, Chosen May doesn't, like, have the influence to do this. Like, she doesn't have the influence to like, poison a concubine above her. Let alone someone who's very much favored by His Majesty. And since we know, us being the reader, or the watchers, Noble Consort Hua is more likely the one behind this, I want to know what the Emperor's going to do, because he knows that quite literally she can't do this. And he granted her suicide. And obviously it wasn't really suicide, it was Companion An going in and having the eunuchs kill her. But it's stated that like he grants her suicide, and I thought that was such like a cop out. I thought that was such like a shit way to handle the situation, because like once again they don't know that Companion An is the one who kind of handled things, but I'm acting in the same light. Like I'm acting as if they don't know. I'm acting like I don't know either. And if he handled it that way, if he really was just gonna like have her commit suicide, because he did, like he gave her like, I think he said like the white slip and some other like method, poison wine or some shit, and she didn't want to take it. I really thought that was a cheap ass way to like fucking like get revenge, or no, revenge not the right way, to get justice, to met out punishment. I thought that was a really cheap way. He didn't question her, he didn't talk to her, he didn't even try and like see her or anything. And I thought like, yo, that makes no sense. One of your favorite concubines was almost punished to death, poisoned to death, and you don't even try and figure out why someone would do that, or why someone thought that was okay to handle. They just immediately kill her. I was just annoyed, but it is what it is. But that is pretty much it for episode 10. We are going to be moving on to episode 11. This is going to be a 45-minute episode, so it's going to be a little bit longer than what we're used to. I've noticed that I've used, and I've said it before, LATEV or LETV official channel on YouTube, but I've had to go back and forth to a little bit of different channels, just because some of the subtitles were like mistranslated and cut off wrong. So I apologize for recommending the playlist. If you can, try watching it on Raccoon Viki. That is like a cool place to watch KNC dramas. But yeah, just go on Google, search it in. Empresses in the Palace, watch online, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it. That being said, moving on. Episode 11. Now, it opens with, like, Noble Lady Wan and Noble Lady Shen talking about Companion On and, like, what had happened last episode, and it turns out that they do know what happened in terms of her going to convince the eunuchs to grant her suicide. And I guess I thought at first they didn't. I must have, like, misunderstood what happened in the show or whatnot, but they did know. And I still think it's cheap that the Emperor chose suicide with the cup and the white silk, but it kind of makes sense that she was gonna smash it and shit, and, like, I'm not gonna fucking kill myself, I want to talk to the Emperor. And he doesn't even go, he doesn't go and try and figure out, why are you acting this way, what is the problem, nothing, none of that. He just he just leaves. He up and leaves for some fucking state affair or whatever. And that's how Companion On was able to even do this in the first place. And now we're seeing Noble Lady Shen, we're seeing Noble Lady Wan express their concerns about it. And, like, they're not even expressing their concerns to or with Companion On. They're just kind of, like, assuming, like, she's just, like, she had, like, this overnight shift, like, she just become this completely different person. And I feel like, I really feel like they didn't try and, like, give her the chance to explain herself, see her side of the story, really. And you can see, like, once again, that rejection I was talking about. She is completely dejected and completely, like, hurt that her friends think of her this way, that her friends see her in this light. And she wants to go in and say something, but she turns around, she leaves. And I hope that doesn't drive the wedge that we were talking about earlier as well. I hope that doesn't become the wedge that is, between their friendship. Because at first we saw not only, like, Concubine Lee, but Noble Lady Sao trying to go between Noble Lady Wan and Noble Lady Shen. But with this wedge that's naturally been wedged between the two, I'm sure these ladies are gonna pounce on that opportunity. I'm sure these women are gonna, like, do whatever they can to further, like, that, whatever it is their agenda, but that wedge between them as a way to draw one to their side or the other to the side, or as a way to sink them both. So, or, they don't have to worry about, competing with favor with them or having to deal with them in the future. And that's kind of sucks, because I kind of wanted their friendship to last a little bit longer, but hey, it happens. Also, though, I know this is Imperial China. I know this is Imperial China, but what the hell was that? I know the show was made in 2011. But what kind of ghost is this? This shit look like it's from Party City circa 1998. What is this? Damn. And then also, like, they just have it coming down from a rope slowly, like, just slowly coming down from a rope. And how does she not see it? How does she not see the fucking rope that they have this fucking ghost coming down from? But, also, did they just leave Noble Lady Fucha just sitting there in the sedan chair, passed out? They just left her, like, I thought that was hilarious. I really could not deal with how she, like, passed. Like, it took her a couple extra seconds to close her eyes, and then everyone ran off and left her there, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But, anyways, moving on. After that whole, like, fiasco of, the ghost, and I'm using ghost very lightly here, we see that, Noble Consort Hua is unable to keep his, straight face, and, she's worried. She's worried that, why is everybody panicking? What is everybody talking about? Why is everybody saying, like, this ghost is a ghost of a dead woman who's, like, been aggrieved? And she's freaking out and everyone else is freaking out is because if you remember, they had just killed, or specifically Noble Consort Hua had just killed the maid the Empress covertly sent to her palace. She drowned her. And she's like, oh shit. She's kind of nervous. She immediately like gains composure. She's like, you know what, this is bullshit. They're using or not they, but like this is just some ghost story around the palace. But Concubine Li happens to bring up, we also kind of sent chosen maid Yu escort you to her death, by having her or by not backing her up and having her essentially sink her own ship when she poisoned Noble Lady Wan. And so people are now saying, oh snap, it could be like chosen maid Yu. And we even see like for a minute there that like companion is like, that's not what it is. It's Noble Lady, you deserve to die or whatever. And everyone's like, okay girl, whatever, I guess. But everyone's kind of like freaking out. Everyone's kind of like, oh, we need to like have like exorcism. We need to have someone perform like some type of blessing. Like the eunuchs are freaking out. Noble Lady Fucha, like, literally was just attacked by the ghost. Like, everyone's losing their minds, And Noble Consort Hua is immediately, like, with so many, like, self-proclaimed witnesses, like, you would have thought the ghost wasn't real. And, or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, whatever. It's so easy for you to feel like that. But unlike us, living lonely lives or leading lonely lives, shit like this gets to us, essentially. The rumors and like ghosts wouldn't be spread to someone as blessed as Noble Consort Hua, basically saying like, bitch, you wouldn't even know what it's like, basically. You wouldn't even know. All you get is love. All you are is showered with love and affection. Shut the hell up. And I love it. I love it because it comes from Concubine Li, like her own, like, once again, pointing out what I was saying about, even though they're in the same faction, there's so much infighting. She kind of just pokes fun at the fact that, like, it's hard out here for a pimp girl, and you don't even know, basically. But, where did we leave off? Oh, yes. We were talking about, the Imperial Chinese interpretation of ghosts, and what they would look like back way then. But, all the ladies have gathered around, and they're talking about the ghost, who could it be? Why is it here? And then Noble Lady, what's her name? Noble Lady Sao is like kind of like ignoring it. We see that Concubine Li is kind of like perpetuating the stories about it, even taking jabs at Noble Consort Hua, who is understandably unbothered by it because quite literally, like, you don't understand. She's in a position where she's not constricted by rules like the Empress, but gets to be treated like her, gets to have the status and everything else except for the title, including the rewards, the treatments, the bows, the love, the affection that an Empress would receive. She gets all of that and much more without literally being constrained as if she were the Empress. And she doesn't have to worry about like some ghosts. She doesn't care what like everybody in the harem is thinking. So I understand why she's taking this stance, especially since she's probably been around and seen this trick once or twice before in her lifetime, and this isn't something new. And she kind of hints at like, don't let the rumors get to you, and that's where Concubine Li is taking pot shots, and she's like, well, you don't have to worry about the rumors, because you're blessed, we're not as blessed or as favored as you to not have to worry about it, So these bitches are getting catty, basically. Or I keep saying Concubine Li. It was Attendant Joy. I always mix them up for some reason. I really love her tassels too. Side note. But So like I said, Noble Consort Hua is like, whatever. This is all nonsense. I don't care. Even if this was you, so that's her slightly, like, you know, slightly acknowledging it. Like, even if this was you, you know, she would never come after me. You know, she got everything she deserves, so she know better, type thing. And we see Noble Lady Shen is like, oh, you're right, Your Highness, it should not affect you at all. This is, you know, something that is totally, you know, handleable, and you don't have to worry about it, right? But surely, I'm sorry, chat, I keep coughing, and I'm gonna grab a cough drop. I'm back. Got my cough drop. And some water. Perfect. Like I said. So as we move on, we see that Noble Lady Shen is like, yes, Your Majesty, Your Highness. These particular things are not gonna be any bother to you. You don't have to worry about it. You know, it's fine. And we see that, like, in the next scene, Consort Hua and the Empress are like talking about it, and the Empress is like, oh, you know, the cold place is such a sad place for souls to be left and brought to serve, like, you know, to such a you know, a dead-end place, you know, hinting at, you know, yeah, I know that you left you there to die, you know, I know, type thing. But the Consort Hua, Noble Consort Hua is like, you know, we'll get an exorcist, it'll be fine, everything will be fine. And Empress is like, you're right, such methods should be taken. Jesus, I promise, chat, it's not COVID. It sound like it, but it's not COVID, chat. But yeah, anyways, so exorcism is performed, everyone is calmed down. The Empress and all the women are gathering again, and we see Noble Lady Wan is like coming out of not necessarily confinement, but coming out of her respite, if you will, her medical respite. And after being nearly poisoned by you, she's finally like being able to regain a little bit more of social normalcy. But lightning strikes, and and the Empress is like, all right, ladies, it's time to go. You know, heavy rain is coming. I'm just trying to head out. So the women are about to leave, and surely, you know, nothing's about to happen, right? Nothing's gonna pop off. Psych. Karma is what happened. You know exactly what I mean, and that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. She deserved every single bit of like scare and fright that was presented to her. It was a perfect plan through and through, and Concubine Li and you know, by extension, Noble Consort Hua, who wasn't there, but Concubine Li, really, who was affected, deserved it. And they quite literally pushed Noble Lady Wan and Noble Lady Shen into like this particular corner, because obviously the Empress and the Emperor couldn't do anything, so this was like their way of retaliating. And as all this is happening, like, Noble Consort Hua like immediately like starts to freak out. Like, she's like, oh shit, we need to leave, we need to go. Because Concubine Li starts spilling the beans. She starts freaking out and going insane. She starts saying crazy shit. She starts just saying all the plans that her and Noble Consort Hua have like created in the past few weeks about you and everything. And Noble Consort Hua is eager to get her out. She's like, let's go. And surely, lo and behold, we have the Empress showing up in a timely manner. And of course, it's hinted that Noble Lady Shen and Noble Lady Wan are the ones who kind of already meditatedly set this up and like sent for the Empress ahead of time, just to like kind of like stop her from taking over immediately. But this kind of like puts Noble Consort Hua in, for the first time, like a chokehold. Like, she cannot get out of this. Like, she is immediately like, oh shit, you know? And this is kind of for the first time where her position of literally being a lower consort, she's a secondary consort, she's not the primary wife, she doesn't have actual authority by law over the harem. This is where it shows, because the Empress comes, takes over, and immediately is like, she's coming back to my palace and not your palace. And Consort Hua like tries to argue, and Noble Lady Wan defends it and rebuttals, and everyone kind of does like this little chess game right quick, you know, this little tit for tat. And the Empress wins. The Empress wins. Because, fortunately, the law backs her up. It's on her side. And legally, because of this, she can kind of declare more of authority or rule. She can, what's the word I'm looking for, chat? What's the word? What is the word? But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Like, she's able to, because she's a primary wife and essentially the one over the harem, she's able to declare her authority primary and essentially take over and get concubine Li taken back to her palace so they can figure out. And for the first time, I think, personally, Consort Hua is truly shaken. She knows nothing is good gonna come from this. And she is like, oh my god. Oh shit. Like, she's like trying to figure stuff out. And, they like kind of like try and stuff Noble Lady, they try and stuff Concubine Li's mouth and cover it up before she can say nonsense and whatnot. And, it doesn't work. It doesn't do anything good. And Concubine Li is probably, and like I'm predicting here, Concubine Li is probably done for regardless, even if she were like in Consort Hua's hands. But she'd probably be a little bit safer that she's with the Empress, because the Empress is probably not gonna outright kill her, you know? Consort Hua is that vicious. Noble Consort Hua is that vicious. She's, like I said, she's the head bitch. She's the main evil, the main antagonist. And they're essentially having her do what she will to try and consolidate, like, continue her power and reign, you know? But moving on. I don't want to keep you all on that particular one, or a particular subject, because in the next subject, we also see Noble Consort Hua, unfortunately, is like now in direct conflict with Noble Lady Wan. She knows for a fact that this was set up by them and Noble Lady Shin, so she's gonna probably get Noble Lady Shin, but she's coming after Noble Lady Wan particularly. And once again, I'm afraid for her, because like we said, her reaction, her like huge reaction and how she handles things is not that great. She typically hides, runs, like she can handle a head-on like verbal challenge, sure, like I've seen that. But when it comes to like physical attacks, unfortunately she's not been able to like save herself. She hasn't been able to do much. So anyways, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so after everything is taken care of and the women are carried off, we see our heroes corralled together. They're all laughing at like the fact that, like, yeah, like I said, it was hinted at that they're the ones who carried out the plan, and like they're just kind of like happy. And then on the other end, on the other spectrum, Noble Lady Sao and Noble Consort Hua are kind of sticking together, trying like come up with a plan. And Princess Wingyi is sick, so she's like yelling at the baby, which is only making the baby laugh. And it's kind of like this cool duality of like how our heroines are like happy and joyful and like they save the day for the moment and are okay, right? But then on the other side, the evil or the bad guys of the show, I guess, are kind of like down for the count. They're kind of trying to figure out what's going on. They need to like plan. And what I noted was, in this moment, Noble Lady Sao kind of seems to be able to hold her weight, or is able to prove to me, or at least, because I don't know if Noble Consort Hua cares, but this is how she's able to survive. she seems to be a little bit smarter than Consort Hua in this moment, in the sense that Noble Consort Hua wasn't able to figure out like how this could have came about and if this was a potential downfall. Whereas immediately Noble Lady Sao was like, you already know, like, they didn't target you immediately. They targeted Concubine Lee because she was weaker. This was her weakness. And if you think about it, who would try and go after you? Who are these types of people who would try and go after you, you know? And that's where, like, I kind of once again noted that, okay, this is how Noble Lady Sao's been able to survive, and survive under Noble Consort Hua at that. Because she has a baby, and I'm pretty sure that will become a threat at some point to Noble Consort Hua. Like, any child is probably going to be a threat to Noble Consort Hua because it's not her child. But the next day, other women greet the Empress. Everything is fine. Nothing really became of the case with the ghost, Concubine Lee, Escort Yu. You know, the Empress wasn't able to do much. The Emperor wasn't able to do much. And so we see Noble Consort Hua actually bring in the Empress Dowager to settle matters. She had to come in and particularly handle like the situation like for us, and we see like for the first time like the Empress Dowager in action, her flexing her power, but also her becoming the middle ground and like stepping in when needed when Consort Hua is unable, or excuse me, when the Empress and the Emperor are unable to handle Consort Hua, because everyone is aware that like she's this like uncontrolled, unchecked power in the harem and is a threat to therefore the imperial family, and so that causes huge conflict all the time. So what I'm wondering and even predicting is that though she may help this time, she's not going to always help until she sees the value or usefulness in our mains. And I'm pretty sure like Consort Hua is going to be able to run to the Empress Dowager a little bit more than like our mains right now. And that's not going to swing in our favor. It really isn't going to swing in our favor right now. So hopefully with these next few episodes, things will get a little bit better. One more thing I wanted to notate that I saw at the end of the episode, after dealing with the Empress and Consort Hua and the Empress Dowager towards the end, I wanted to notate that even though like the Empress Dowager handled it in our favor, like there's still issue. Like the Emperor still is kind of, I wouldn't say suspicious, but is still doubting our main Noble Lady Wan right now, and I don't know if that's gonna cause a wedge between them. And I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, where she's gonna have constant wedges being driven between her and her loved ones, where she feels like it's just her and herself, and that's how she's gonna survive. But it makes me think, you know, maybe that's where it could go. Slight prediction, you know. And then also, last thing too, Jade, I think Jade knows about her and Lady Wan being half sisters. I really think so. And I'm pretty sure she's probably gonna try and get in favor with the Emperor because of that. She gonna be like, oh, we sisters and we look alike, so you could marry me and you could date me too. You know, I think she's gonna use that for real. Snake shit type shit. But my final thoughts, I didn't even do my final thoughts for last episode, Chad. Why you didn't tell me, Chad? Bro. But my final thoughts for episode, almost dropped my water. My final thoughts for episode 11 was, Consort Hua, Noble Consort Hua is gonna get her due. Obviously, it's hinting at that, in my opinion. Noble Lady Sao is able to survive because she is quite literally able to like think for noble consort in a way and act as her strategist, I guess. But that also, and we saw at the end of the episode, that also leads her to being like the punching bag when things don't go her way. Like, she literally slaps like and throws her fan at her, only to then just fix her hair and be like, "Oh, it's okay. You know I get upset. You know, weird mother may I behavior type shit. You know." But yeah. So always kind of taking out the brunt of her anger, but we also know that she's doing that to protect her daughter too. So she has to kind of scheme her way through the harem, you know. But I really think, fortunately for like Noble Lady Huan and Noble Lady Shen, humans tend to have very short memories, and something tells me that Noble Lady Sao is going to remember more of the abuse than the good times with Noble Consort Hua, because she's so much more like abusive and evil. She's not a good person, So something's gonna tell me is that at some point Noble Lady Sao is going to, like, not necessarily jump ship, but in a way help our mains out, and help our mains in a way that like kind of consolidate power in their favor, but not necessarily give them everything, because I'm pretty sure she has to look out for her and her daughter, But anyway, chat, we're gonna be moving on to episode 12. Once again, this is Empresses in the Palace, also known as The Legend of Zhen Huan. This is the 2011 version. These are 76 episodes in total, and we are on episode 12. If you would like to watch this at any point in time other than this live stream, feel free to watch it archived on my YouTube channel at 9 Lives Productions. So, we're in episode 12. And quite literally, once again, chat. See what I mean? By like, she's gonna have to become the punching bag. See what I mean by she's gonna have to end up like scheming and using herself as like a way to elevate Noble Consort Hua. And yes, it's a way to survive, but it's not gonna be a way to survive for long, because what happens when you can't use yourself anymore? Because you're not going to be able to save her from everything. How can you? Like, she's gonna dig her own grave, and you're gonna literally dig yourself with it. Water break, chat. We're talking about. It's my ice cold water. I like that. I like that a lot. But anyways, we see Noble Lady Sao using herself and her daughter Winnie, Princess Winnie, as a pawn, and everyone picks up on it immediately. Like, quite literally, when she walks in, the Empress sees the hairpin that Noble Consort Hua often wears and knows what's up. She knows why she's here. She knows that she's using Winnie as a as a tool, and it's really sick, yes, but it's also a way to survive, yes, and I kind of don't judge her for that, but it is what it is. Moving on, I digress. The exit from the main palace to the summer palace was phenomenal, okay? I loved everything, and I particularly am saying this because I didn't think they would actually show the transition. I thought it would just jump from excuse me. I thought it would just jump from scene to scene. But from like the actual procession with the guards and like the multicolored uniforms, which I thought was awesome, very, very cool, to like the different servants, the eunuchs, the maids, the ladies in waitings and things like that, to even the actual concubines and their maids and what they were wearing. I thought that was amazing, and I actually really liked that they showed that rather than just like them, which what they end up showing the next scene, walking in to like a supposedly new scene, little tidbit there. And then her actual room is actually different, so hey, I thought it was cool. Next scene, once again, this is what I pointed out last time. And this is very, very big, and I'm also going to continue pointing it out because I want you to keep track of how many times I'm pointing it out, because that's how many times it's happening in the series. 76 episodes, and about 12 episodes in, and I've said this 3 times already, we are seeing a pattern of him questioning her intentions and outright not trusting her, or even, I mean, not outright trusting her, but outright doubting her, which can turn into mistrust eventually, which I'm sure will. And her trying to explain herself, and professing her love and saying, this is not true, and, I'm really trying to be this wife for you, and all these various reasons that are happening to her, just eventually probably getting tired of being guilty all the time, and just becoming the guilty party, And I feel like that's the elevation, that's the transition of her character a little bit. Because, people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's probably not something she wants to deal with constantly, with being questioned. Even though you say you love me and give me these prizes and these jewels and these titles and children, if we have children, because I'm not sure she has children. But yeah, so I just wanted to I just wanted to bring that up because it's, like I said, it's gonna be something notable. The next thing I also wanted to bring up too is that Noble Lady Wan is talking to Jinshi again about like her anecdote that chosen maid Yu used to disguise herself as her, to pretend to be her as. And the one thing that she's talking with her about is like the only person that would have known that, because it's very personal, it's not something many people would have heard her say, is that, someone very close, like a dowry maid, or a head maid or a head eunuch, a mother or father, something like that. And the only person we know that to be is one, who she's talking to, Jinshi, the head maid. 2, Vermilion, her first dowry maid, who's like in the courtyard or something. And 3, her second dowry maid, her half sister, Zhen Huan. And what I said last time was like, she is quite literally like engaging in very questionable like acts and behaviors, and it's coming to like now, because right now we are quite literally seeing Noble Lady Wan suspect her. And even Jin, she's just like, she's a dowry maid of yours, she would never. And she's like, I have confidence in Vermilion with living with I have confidence in Vermilion and living with her for so many years. I know she would never do this. And I have confidence in Jade. But I'm not sure that this isn't something she wouldn't like bring up. Like, she's very straightforward. Maybe there's something she could have said as like in defense, and that's how it came out. But even like Noble Lady Wan's like, Vermilion's not that like, she's not that like unattentive. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. She wouldn't necessarily like just blur like that out like that. But she's like, that could be the only way to explain it. She did say, and it's fortunate that His Majesty believed me, but I don't think, that's what it is. Her face says, I don't think that's what it is. Her face says, no, it's something else. It's someone else. And so y'all need to be aware, because it's about to get spicy. Okay? It's about to get spicy. Next scene, we see the Empress. She's lounging in her room. She's just reading. She's chilling out. And I believe she's talking to her maid, her head maid. And she's talking about, like, the Emperor wants, like, more frugality. He wants people to be more conservative in their money. And there's going to be, like, a split in rations between certain concubines and obviously those who are head get a little bit more, while those are lower get a little bit less. Blase squaze. Um, but the one thing I wanted to like point out, and I'm not sure if you noticed, was note that the Empress says, "I'm not gonna take credit for Noble Lady Shin." You know. And when she's like, "I must not take credit for her kind thought," is what she says. That one line. And that lets me know that this lady is playing chess while these bitches are playing checkers. These hoes are playing checkers while this bitch playing chess. Okay? She is so many fucking steps ahead of these people, chat. So many fucking steps ahead. It's funny. And I say that because what I'm interpreting that as, and I'm pretty sure this is what it is like, there are going to be some people who are not happy about this shortage in this ration. I'm pretty sure. Because there's some very arrogant, very rude, ignorant, indignant people in the harem. And I'm not going to take credit for this as to then expose myself to that. No. That is all Lady Shen. And that lets me know this lady definitely is someone to watch out for. Like, I'm going to say this again. She is the Empress for a reason. She is not in that seat. Like, you have, that's a hot seat, basically. She's not in that hot seat for fun. She's in there because she has to fight for it. She wants that. And I think she also wants to owe it probably to her sister. Because, once again, I believe her older sister was the initial Empress. Empress Premiere. But that's not the actual name. That's what they say in the translation. It's fucking weird. But it's Empress Chuyan. I'm so sorry. I'm pronouncing that wrong. Mandarin's not my main language, but I am trying. Moving on. We need to start paying attention to the Empress. I'm really unnerved by her in this episode. I think she's gonna start targeting our girls like subtly. She definitely lets Noble Consort Hua swing the weight around in terms of being like evil and like malicious. She doesn't overtly reveal herself. In fact, she quite oppositely portrays the benevolent mother type when she's very Machiavellian. She's very evil. So we need to pay attention out for her. Pay attention out for that bitch. Next thing, Noble Lady Shin is pregnant, which is great, and that's really good news. But we also know that's gonna have her now as target number 1, and we know someone's gonna be trying to like go for her. She's gonna be the envy of the entire harem while being the apple of the Emperor's eye. So we're gonna have fun enjoying that next episode. And we're in the Summer Palace. Yeah. We're in the Summer Palace now. We're not in the main palace anymore. We're not in Beijing. We're in the Summer Palace. So we'll see what's happening next. But we gonna move on in the next episode. Alright, y'all. We're gonna be in episode 13. This is episode 13 of Empresses in the Palace, The Legend of Zhen Huan, the 2011 series. This series is 76 episodes long, so I'm going to be on episode 13 as of today. We're going to be watching, initially we started with the LETV Letev, I'm not sure, channel on YouTube, but I had to like jump around and like find other stuff, so yeah. Do what you will with that, but I hope you can find all 76 episodes. But with that, let's jump into it. Last episode, we left off with Noble Lady Shin being pregnant as fuck, which is a great thing, because everyone is like, woo, you're pregnant! Noble Lady One's like, you're gonna have to do this, and you're gonna have to deal with this, and you're gonna, have to deal with, being, because it says in the subtitles, postpartum confinement, which I'm assuming what it means is that they have her in, like, bed rest. But whatever, it was such a weird way of saying it. But yeah, they're talking about that in her room, and plus she has a higher rank now, and she will have a new courtesy name bestowed by the Emperor. Well, she'll get her higher rank after giving birth, because the Empress was like, hold it, we can't be doing all that. We'll just give her a cute little name for it. So right now, her first present will be a courtesy name, which was very, very, because it's bestowed by the Emperor. So it's a very, very precious gift. We see most of the concubines, like the women in the elder part of the harem, most of the concubines and the current consorts have courtesy names, not necessarily bestowed by the emperor, but consortois, noble consortois is an example. Normally her name or her title precisely would be noble consort Nian or Nian, Nian. Yes, that's how you say it. That's just her last name. But because she has like he considers her like the title he gave her is like flower. He considers her I can't even talk, chat. He considers her his flower. There you go. He considers her his flower, and like the flower in his garden. He calls her a flower. So therefore, noble consort Hua, and that's what noble lady Shen gets. She gets a nice little courtesy name, which he got Hui, which is, or I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It is Hui, Hui. So noble lady Hui, Hui. Not like French we, but Hui with an H. So, yes, LOL. I thought that was really cute. I thought that was like, yay, she got a little treat. But how they're gonna take like that all away from her, because there's one thing dramas love to do is get your hopes up only to crush it within the next 30 seconds. Okay? If you've seen Ashes of Love, you know what I mean. Water break. But also I liked how in this conversation too, and this is the one thing I like to also point out about Noble Lady Huan, is that she called out Noble Lady He for using Companion An and being very unfair to her and calling her ruthless, and somehow using that as a reason to keep her around but keep her at a distance. And that's probably gonna bite them in the ass later. Like, I already see it happening in the sense, like, because she kind of felt dejected when she overheard them, because she, like, walked in, I think she was, like, walking up in to go in, and she overheard them talking in, like, 2 episodes before. And, like, she called her straight up ruthless and, like, kind of, like, cold-blooded. And now she's like, oh, I love that she was ruthless and cold-blooded this time. And Noble Lady Huan is like, Miss Ma'am, you did not like that last time. Like, bitch, you did not appreciate that last time. And that's kind of fucked up. That's two-faced. And I like that how she's calling her out on that, because it is two-faced in my opinion. And I don't think, you know, like yes, it's gonna come and bite them in the ass, but I don't think it's like bad. I just think she's just gonna want to like eventually like be like, hey, you called me ruthless, like how dare you, blah blah blah. Like, she's gonna confront her about it, and you know what I'm saying, that type of bad, you know, that type of falling. But in the next scene, which I really really love, we get to see a little bit of Noble Lady Huan maybe taking on a little bit of a motherly role. Small prediction here. Moving on, guys, moving on, chat. The next thing we were talking about here is Prince Gao of the First Rank. Prince Gao of the First Rank is very cheeky, very very playful, and he's talkative as fuck. And he being a little cute, talking to Noble Lady Huan like that. And you know, she's I want you to know that she's covering her feet, because this goes back to that propriety aspect, that men and women were not supposed to be near each other if they were unmarried, and even if they were family, you know, they had a sense of distance between each other. And seeing her naked skin, especially her feet, which was like, feet were coveted as like, it was like a weird coveted thing, which I wouldn't even say weird, because feet are coveted now. Shout out to all the feet lovers. I'm not a feet lover. I actually think feet are disgusting, but shout out to you guys. I don't feet shame, or I don't kink shame, so have fun. Yeah, so she's like kind of like trying to cover her feet or whatever, because it's very shameful for him to like see any part of her naked skin that's not like her face or her hands, you know what I'm saying? And so it's funny to see that he's like talking to her like this, and like she's like so nervous, and like, oh my god, we cannot be seen, like I'll be fucking killed. And he's just like, yeah girl, what's good? And I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, back up, go somewhere, please. You're making her nervous. But a way to introduce Prince Gao, I guess, is have him as a drunk, cheeky, like, prince, I guess? I don't know. Moving on. We see once again Noble Lady Sao, the flunky, the idiot, the survivor, I guess, plotting, and she's plotting against our main trio, our main three. Obviously, like it's like why would you like why are you doing this, like in general? Like I get, once again, I get the survival and like aspect of it, yes, but like why not try and survive with the Empress? Why does nobody try and survive with the Empress? That's what I don't understand. Huh? Does the Empress not like them or something? Cause why immediately go over to her and like allow her to like rule you like that? That I will never understand. But anyways, moving on. And dun dun dun, what did I say? This I guess was part of the plot that she was planning, but she's gonna think, or she's planting the seeds of what I was saying earlier about Prince Gao. That like he's not supposed to be like, they're not supposed to be seen like that. She's not supposed to be naked at any point, shape or form in front of him, especially because he's like the Emperor's brother. You know, it was like, woo, like they're gonna behead her, like no problem. Like they just gonna kill her off the bat, no shot. But him, he'd be fine. They're not gonna do nothing, but maybe a slap on the wrist, send him to a different province or something. And so for Noble Lady Sao to like plant that seed of oh yes, I saw them together, ho ho ho, tra la la la, you know, it is very like light water we're treading right now, and I'm very scared because if she can't come back from that, like that's a hard accusation to get away from, you know. And I feel like if they do like constantly bring that up, that's not something she's gonna ever be able to dodge. But it is what it is, I guess. Like that's pretty much it for this episode. It was a quick short one. Like I breezed through episode 13. My final thoughts was the big three get to live to see another day, I guess. Everything worked out with Prince Gao, and like I guess the suspicions of them two being anything was dispelled, but who knows? With emperors and these dramas, like they use that as a plot point to be like, yo, you gotta kill this this consort or this concubine because she's cheating or something, whatever. And I feel like though they may not do that with her, it can, because I'm pretty sure it was a damning thing for a reputation back then. They can use it to like damn her reputation, and that shit's ass. That shit's ass, and I don't need that to happen. But moving on, chat, we are be going into episode 14. This is episode 14 of Empresses in the Palace, The Legend of Zhen Huan. This is the 2011 series. This entire series has 76 episodes, and I am on episode 14. If you'd like to check out this video at any other time, it'll be archived on my YouTube channel, 9 Lives Productions, so feel free to check it out. But let's hop into it. Right now, Head Bitch is back. Noble Consort is just doing what she does best, and just starting the drama. She's pretty much the drama in C-drama, you know? But what I noticed and what I really appreciated, because I really do love when they show the heroine off like this, when they're able to go tit for tat for their, when they're competent. There you go. When their heroine is competent and she's able to stand up for herself, she literally cleared that bitch. Like, she was like, ooh. Noble Lady Huan is not one to play with, and I really love that they're having her like defend herself that particular way. She is very intellectual, she's very thought out, she's very meticulous, and I love that. However, that brother-sister duo is striking, I should say, again, and it's causing a rift and such bullshit, and it's getting on my nerves. It's causing such like strife, I guess, not necessarily a rift, but causing such strife in the harem, and I really wish. Ooh, chat, getting a little sleep with her. I really wish that, like, the emperor would, like, because I'm pretty sure there are other capable people. Like, you don't have to use her brother. You don't have to use Nian Genyao. Like, you could use, like, any other, like, scholar, mathematician, like any other, because, well, he's a war general, so you could use any other general or any son of a general. Recruit some people to replace him, and you won't have this issue. Like, and I don't understand why he's willing to allow his harem to be thrown into chaotic, like, strife like this for the sake of one family that is easily replaceable. Ugh, chat, I'm about to throw up. What I will say, though, is the big difference here that, once again, that I will say this program is really good, or this drama is really good at highlighting, is the quick differences between the perceived good and evils in this show. Specifically, Noble Consort Hua, you know, her mind is constantly, like, focused on, like, yes, power, yes, money, yes, consolidating power and money, and, like, easing her family name, but also, like, children, and building a family with His Majesty. She really thinks she has a shot at, you know, continuing this happy, like, fairy tale lifestyle that she's trying to, or she has been trying to building for herself, because I'm not sure how long she's been married into the family, but it's hinted at, like, she's been there for, like, some years, probably, like, 10 years, you know? But, then it switches over to the Empress, the perceived good, and how she's talking about, the Emperor, and it's showing, her, like, perceived mindset, right? And what her mind is constantly focused on, and, like, what she, deals with every day. And she's constantly thinking about, and this is the first we hear, her son, her second son, Prince Hongxi, who unfortunately died. He died, young, as an infant. And, her mind is constantly on, not Hongxi, excuse me, Honghui. Her mind is constantly on who he could have been, what he could have been, and how he could have, like, made a comeback for her in terms of a proud mother, and being the son of a first wife, you know, because that was super, super huge. Going back to what I said back in episode 1, being a D wife and a D son, you know, that was very, very important. Being the primary wife and being the primary son replaced almost all kinds of formal ties with other wives and sons that you had. And she kind of just constantly thinks about it. It's kind of highlighted that that's all she thinks about, is, like, bringing that type of prestige to herself and what, like, would have been her son, and constantly using that as a way to, like, compare herself to her sister, you know. And I kind of see that she's in a way, like, in essence, stunlocked into that type of mindset. Like, she, you know, her and her sister were married to the same man, and they occupied the same position, you know, only, like, and she only received that once her sister died, you know. She only, and then she even points out, like, she still wouldn't even received it if it wasn't for the Empress Dowager, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't really going to be for, like, that Empress wasn't going to really be for her. He was going to choose someone else, essentially. But, moving on. I went too long on that tidbit. The next thing I wanted to point out, and the one thing I really, really noticed, too, was Su Peshong. In the next scene, Su Peshong has very legitimate concerns for a consort, you know, not intervening in court affairs, which doesn't make sense to me, because, like, you know, they have consorts, or excuse me, they have noble consort Hua interfering all the time via her brother, so, you know, bullshit. But it makes sense to not have one interfering with court affairs, and, you know, I understand why he told her, and her being noble consort Shen, why not to worry because she's pregnant right now. But, like, in a moment of crisis like this, it's understandable why she would want to say something, why she should feel like she should say something. We come to find out that Companion An's father was accused of bribery and accused of helping the enemy get through like a patrol or get through a pass or something like that. And people are trying. She's like running to both Noble Lady Shen and Noble Lady Huan for help, and people are turning away both of them by saying, you can't really help her right now. Just let it go. It's gonna be okay. And she's like crying. She's breaking down because she knows if Noble Consort Huan gets a hold of this, she's gonna like immediately gut her father. She's gonna fucking try and say, and she's gonna use her brother. She's not gonna directly say it. She's gonna use her brother to try and go after her father, and she's worried. So she sees that Noble Lady Shen wasn't able to do anything. So she asks Noble Lady Huan to go with her to the Empress to see, if she could try and figure out, something that way. However, the Empress is not taking people. She's like, I have already gone to the Governance Hall. I can't do anything. Governance Hall is where the Emperor would take like court matters and stuff like that, by the way. So yeah, they're informed that she's already speaking with His Majesty in the Governance Hall, and unfortunately can't be here to help you. So right now, what I noticed in difference between Noble Lady Shen and Noble Lady Huan is Noble Lady Shen immediately kind of like backed down and was like, okay, like we can't do anything. Maybe I should just wait. And then when it comes to Noble Lady Huan, even though she's like rebuffed a little bit by not being able to see the Empress, she's waiting. She's not waiting. She's still taking action. Like, yes, she's waiting in the side chamber quite literally, but she's gonna wait until she can like be able to see someone. She's not gonna sit there and go back to her room and like wait for like news on the next day or something like that. And I think that probably did a little bit more for Companion An, And I feel like even though there is no solution right now for I keep saying Noble Lady Shen, but Noble Lady Hui right now is her name. Noble Lady Hui, I know there is no solution for Noble Lady Hui exactly to help Companion, but I feel like Companion is going to interpret that in a wrong, or she's going to interpret that in an incorrect manner, because once again, she's very insecure. She doesn't know how to take rejection, and she doesn't know how to take disappointment like that very well. And I also wanted to point out that even though Noble Lady Huan was able to help the Empress, right? I mean, not help the Empress, help Companion An see the Empress wasn't exactly helpful at all. Like, quite the opposite. And this isn't once again, the next time I'll bring this up will probably be the last time, but I will bring this up again. This is why we don't trust the Empress. She's acting as if she's being kind of benevolent by saying that she will help her. But she's actually a lot more cunning and clever than anything else by setting Companion An up in this way. And I say setting Companion An up in this way because she's saying like, Consort Huan, or Companion An is saying Consort Huan is like disdaining my father in front of His Majesty via her brother, and it's gonna cause him to die. I don't know what to do. And Noble Lady Hui isn't doing anything, and Noble Lady Shen or Noble Lady Huan is only here with you, and the Empress isn't like refuting any of this. The Empress isn't like, oh, it's like it's fine, like the Emperor like could not do anything. It would have done, like, the Empress isn't explaining why she couldn't do anything versus why the Empress could do anything. And she's taking advantage of Companion An saying like, you're a motherly presence, and you're really the only person who can help me right now. She's like, yep, yep, just taking advantage of that, right? But yeah, I just wanted you guys to take a big note of that, because like I said, another point for me as to why we don't trust the Empress. Water break. In the next scene, the next thing that we were talking about is we see Noble Lady Wan saving the day for Companion On via talking to His Majesty, but not directly. She's not directly intervening in court affairs like Noble Lady Hui would have, and how Noble Consort Hua is via her brother. She's just commenting via Idolian history and like poems that somewhat like emulate and are similar to the situations are happening now. And the Emperor picks up on that. He's aware of that. He's like, wow. He's like, he gives her this cute nickname. He calls her Huan Huan. And he's like, oh wow, my Huan Huan is very smart, very sensible. She doesn't even, she uses history before outright speaking, on things that not necessarily she should be speaking. And she does this very coyly in this way because she knows she shouldn't speak on it, and she doesn't want to anger him. And she doesn't want to upset him. But she knows that she should try and say something for her friend. Which brings me back to the point of the difference between her and Noble Lady Hui. Whereas whereas both women tried, Noble Lady Hui didn't try and go beyond that. She didn't think outside of the box, Whereas Noble Lady Wan was doing everything she could, thinking like, oh, maybe if I did it this way, maybe if I talked to the Empress, she went the proper way, she talked to the Empress, she got that. And then she still talked to the Emperor, and, she basically, did a little pillow talk and was like, hey, can you help my friend out, basically. And I just love that. I love that she was still able to help that out. What is sad to see, though, is in the next scene is that Companion completely misunderstands everything. And it goes back to what I was saying episode 10 earlier, that it's what I predicted, that she knew, excuse me. It's sad to see because she knows that while Noble Lady Wan treats her wholeheartedly and is her friend, Noble Lady Hui really isn't her friend, I guess you could say. Or she feels like Noble Lady Hui only helped because the wind was already sailing in their direction, was already in their favor, and not necessarily helped because she wanted to. And then what I see too is that the Empress kind of adds fuel to the fire, because right now in the next scene, while we see a Companion on misunderstanding, she's talking to the Empress's maid Autumn, and Autumn's like, well, in fact, His Majesty actually pardoned your father because the Empress spoke up for you, and we see that the Empress here, once again, very smartly using her maid to drive that wedge, and in a very subtle, very covert way. She's not outright saying yeah, none of your friends helped you. She's not even saying that your friends didn't help you. She's just saying, in fact, the Empress helped you because she spoke up for you, and His Majesty took that into consideration. But it still sucks to see that Companion On is misinterpreting the situation and excuse me, not able to really understand what's happening, rather than okay, my friends tried their best, and even the Empress helped me a little bit. She just is, she kind of goes the complete opposite, complete spectrum. Anyways, moving on. Sorry, water break. LOL. Next scene is, if I had a record player, I would literally freeze frame record scratch. Noble Lady Wan, because what happens is Jade comes in, she kinds of prances around, she brings him flowers, she gently places them, and she uses that as a way to attract attention away from Noble Lady Wan, because the Emperor's there. And she attracts that attention away from Noble Lady Wan to herself, because once again she notices that the Emperor takes slight fancy to her because they look alike, right? And Noble Lady Wan immediately knew what was up. She was just okay, honey. all right, LMAO. She immediately was like, I see what you're doing, and I find that hilarious because once again, this is why we love her, but also this is great writing. That was really funny. Good on the actress for doing that. But we are at the end of the episode, and my final thoughts are: these last 4 episodes, some alliances were broken. Some alliances were made, albeit we don't know it yet. We don't know really what alliances. We just know that some are forming via my predictions. The Empress is showing a little bit more of her true colors. Obviously with the help of her maid, like I said, she had Autumn talking with Companion on there, and it's feeling the fire of that wedge driving. And we had a little bit of updated ranks, with the possibility of a baby on the way, with Noble Lady Hugh being pregnant. But with that being said, chat, that is the end of our Watch Club, episode 3. We have finally made it through the 4 episodes, reviewing and commentating and talking shit, and just basically parading all over this entire series. And I'm glad you guys are here with me enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. Let me know in comment and chat how you guys are feeling. I've actually added a suggestion box to my homepage, so feel free to add that. You can always message me, DM me, but don't waste my time. My DMs are not free. You can always DM me on Twitter. My name is Rami G. You can also message me on Instagram. It's the same handle, Rami G, as well. Feel free to check out these archived videos. Watch Club will always be archived on YouTube at 9Live Productions. And if you can, leave a follow. If you'd like my stuff today, let me know. Have a great one, chat. Have a great one, Lakers. Mwah! Good night.